we have that dork connection, right? I love that. She calls herself a dork. No, I'm not being mean. It's a science of minding thing. That's exactly it. Because what does Ernest Holmes say? We're creating something for ourselves all the time, so we might as well do it consciously. Otherwise, it becomes unconscious, willy-nilly, and we end up with junk in our life. So consciously is a huge science of minding word. So consciously, we're going to love and accept each other. That's what I'm talking about today. Loving and accepting. Those two words kind of intertwined. Now, let me just start with saying that when I say love, we have all different kinds of love, right? There's like eros love, which is romantic. We have familial love. We have that sense of family, that sense of romance. We have agape love, which is the spiritual love, the highest ideal of love, the spiritual principle, if you will, of love. Sherry said in her reading that God isn't loving, God is love. It's a subtle difference. And if you're new to this philosophy, that may seem a little harsh. What do you mean God's not loving? Well, it's a little semantic, though. God is love, the highest principle that can actually be. God is love, or that one power is love. That's the kind of love I'm talking about, because it is so much greater than the emotional kind of love. And yet, you turn on the radio, and you hear the addictive kind of love. You hear the kind where the so-and-so left you and you're heartbroken. You turn on the movies and you're seeing that clingy, icky kind of love. If you loved me, you would do such and such. We read romance novels. Maybe you don't, but you're aware that they're there. It's like, sometimes that's not really love, that's addiction. But that's what we're inundated with. Our Hallmark cards tell us this love that everyone's supposed to feel. Our Norman Rockwell paintings paint this beautiful image. It's really hard to get away from that image of the addictive, clingy, not so wonderful, not so spiritual love, because it's around us. So today, when I say love, I'm really talking about shooting for the highest ideal of love, which is above and beyond all of our human stuff. All of our human stuff. It's really important to me always, every single Sunday, to acknowledge our human stuff. And then to say, but there's more than that. We are more than that. So you will hear me all the time talking about acknowledging what we're going through, and then say, but shoot for the higher ideal, shoot for the moon of that. So we're acknowledging and we're rising both at the same time. Ernest Holmes, in this wonderful Science of Mind book, said we should learn to love all people. All right, sounds really easy. Sounds really easy. We should learn to love all people. That's our true nature. Our true nature is love. I'm glad you're giggling already. The master teacher Jesus said, let me tell you before I tell you what he said, he took Moses' 10 commandments and brought them down to 2. Love God with all your mind, all your might, and all your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself. He brought all those 10 commandments and put them into 2. And then I started thinking about, okay, love the Lord your God with all your mind, all your might, and all your heart. That part's probably easier than to say love your neighbor as yourself. There's 2 parts to that. Love your neighbor as yourself. You got to love yourself as you love your neighbor. You take Holmes and you take Jesus, and it sounds really easy, but you think, oh my goodness, it sounds good, it sounds easy, but what about the people that I don't feel love for? Which is why we were all laughing a minute ago, because we know that there are those that we don't feel love for. It happens, we're human. For me, personally, when I bump up against a concept that I find myself resisting, or I find myself going to the, yeah, right, love everybody, like it's so easy. When I hear any sense of cynicism or resistance in me, I have to reframe it. So for me, reframing the idea of loving everybody, the reframe for me is acceptance. See how it fits for you. I can accept people, even if I can't always feel love. Acceptance for me is another thing. So let me tell you what Ernest Holmes says first before I get to exactly what I mean by it. And this is possible to get to the acceptance because of this. God exists in everything. God exists in me, and because God exists in me, I'm able to recognize other beings in whom God exists. Spirit is the medium through which I'm conscious of myself, of others, and of my environment. Science of minding. God exists in me, and God exists in everything, and because God exists in me, I'm able to recognize other beings whom God exists in. Okay, so from that premise, there's a God we love, God exists here, God is everywhere. Every human being is an incarnation of God, Ernest Holmes says. So no matter where we look, incarnation of God. Every single face, every single pair of eyes, every single person, doesn't matter what. And isn't that where the rubber hits the road? Because there's the times that we don't feel it. So I can accept Ernest Holmes' statements. This is part of my reframe. I can accept his statements, even if I have absolutely nothing in common with that person, even if that person's actions are repulsive to me, because that happens too. Notice I said that actions are repulsive, right? Separate the act from the actor. You know, a lot of parents tell their children, I didn't like that behavior. I love you, but I didn't like that behavior. So the idea of, I may find this repulsive, what this person did. I may have nothing in common, but I can accept their divinity. I can accept, as Ernest Holmes says, they are a creation of God too. So I want you to call to mind somebody close to you, maybe a family member, who sometimes you have a hard time feeling the love. I think everybody can probably do it, if they're honest. You just call that person to mind. Okay, so if we're going to reframe this, can I then, if I can't feel the love, can I at least say, I accept this person as an expression of the divine? Just like I want to be accepted. Okay, take it a little further. Go out to our community where you ran into somebody at a restaurant or a bank or a clerk of some sort that was very rude to you. You may not know them, you may not feel the love at all. Can you accept them? Okay, here's a really, really big one. Imagine a politician, current or past, imagine a politician who you don't agree with at all. Because that's a lot of what we see on our planet right now. We're seeing this opposition of people who don't agree with each other, things that we don't have in common, things that we might even find repulsive. But we can go backward through history and kind of put that on any politician, but just call one to mind. Can you say, those actions are repulsive, I have nothing in common with you, and yet I'm going to accept that you are a creation of that one. If you can do that, you got this. Because that's really, really hard when we look at the person who looks so other, so different, so how can you think that? Right? Whether it's your family or whether it's the politician. How can you believe that way? How can you think that way? And have nothing that you want to talk to. You don't feel the love. But you can say, if we are all expressions of the one, then so is this person. That's what I mean by acceptance. And what it does for me is it gives me a practice. As I'm on my way towards higher and higher vibrations of loving, I can use acceptance as my tool. It becomes my tool. So I will stop myself and say, everything I just got through saying, I find this repulsive. However, God exists in me, God exists in everyone. Can I accept this person? Now it opens the door to my heart just a little bit more to say, this person's a child of God too. I'm going to accept this person. Opens it a little bit and allows me at least not to wall it off where no love can get in or out. And this we don't want. We don't want the love to get stuck inside or not be able to come into us. We want to keep it open. So if it resonates with you, you can use that also as a practice, as a tool to move you beyond the human stuff into that accepting of our absolute spiritual truth. Now in the process, going back to Jesus, he said, love your neighbor as yourself. So let's go talk about ourselves. We must love ourselves. You hear it all the time. But what I would really like for us